Okay, this is what happened on Monday Night Raw. First time in ages I've actually been able to sit down and watch Monday Night Raw live. Amazing. This was a decent show. By the way, happy Valentine's Day to everybody. I don't know if I'll get any cards, but anyway, I'm still waiting. But anyway, Raw started off with Kane, Cena promo, a small video vignette about their feud. Then Kane did a short interview, short statement beside an ambulance. Says somebody's going to take a ride in the ambulance tonight. I promise that. It went and started off the programme, and then it started with Jerry Lawler with the Raw elimination guys in the ring, each at a podium with elimination chambers stamped on it. It was Kofi Kingston, Chris Jericho, Dolph Ziggler, The Miz, R-Truth and CM Punk, the WWE champion of course. They all did a little bit of a debate thing. R-Truth mentioned something about spider soup, eating spider soup, getting lots of spiders and blending them and eating them as a soup. It was really hugely great. And the weird bit of this, there was a kind of Royal Rumble timing. As they all went, they were supposed to have a 45-second time limit. They all went over it, but no buzzer or anything happened until The Miz, of course a heel, actually started going on, and then the buzzer sounded, because they went well over 45 seconds each for them. It was supposed to be Kofi Kingston and Chris Jericho first match, and it was, but just before they went to the break, while they still had the stuff set up, CM Punk actually had a face-to-face with Chris Jericho, face-to-face. They both shoved podiums out the way, and then they met each other near the ropes and had a stare at each other, and then Chris Jericho turned around and Kofi Kingston hit him with the spinning kick he calls Trouble in Paradise. Then went to a break, and Chris Jericho and Kofi Kingston was the match. Chris Jericho won that after thumbing Kofi Kingston in the eye. The referee couldn't see it, and then hitting the code breaker on Kofi Kingston and pinned him for the 1-2-3. It was an okay match. Now, at that point, Shawn Michaels was shown backstage. It was Shawn Michaels' return to Raw tonight. He was shown backstage, walking, of course, towards the ring, towards the entrance area, the gorilla position as they call it, in honour of Gorilla Monsoon. Triple H happened to appear there, and of course they embraced each other, hugged each other, and then it flashed off to another advert break. Then it was a bit about Cena and Ryder backstage. Ryder wanting to spend some time with Eve Torres, his supposed girlfriend. John Cena saying, "Okay, I'll leave you guys alone." Ryder wanted to give him flowers, and Cena warned him about Kane being on the loose. Then I went to the Big Show versus Randy Orton. I showed you a little bit about what happened on last week's SmackDown, where Daniel Bryan attacked Big Show, and Big Show ended up attacking Randy Orton and so forth. So it was a Big Show in a match versus Randy Orton. Randy Orton actually was able to have the rope DDT where he has his opponents on the actual top rope, and he pulls them up forward so they're hanging with their ankles on the ropes, and then DDTs them. He actually managed to do it to the Big Show. Amazingly, he was actually able to hold up the Big Show for several seconds, because of that position that the Big Show had his arms in. He wasn't able to help Randy Orton much, and he actually was able to DDT him, and then Randy actually did the RKO on the Big Show. But then Daniel Bryan, who was there just watching the match, actually ran in and hit Randy Orton with the world title, but with a world heavyweight challenger belt, and of course Big Show was disqualified, so Randy Orton won that one as a result of Daniel Bryan's interference. Of course, Daniel Bryan will defend his world title in a SmackDown elimination match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Then it was time for the big return. Shawn Michaels. Now this was an interesting section of the show, or segment as they call it in America. He was he said, you know, he got asked why he comes back at this time of the year, and he says, oh, it's WrestleMania. He then invited Triple H to come down, and they had a bit of a thing about Shawn Michaels saying, do you want to face Undertaker at WrestleMania, which seems like it's actually happening, but Triple H said no. He denied he wanted to do the match. He didn't want to face the Undertaker. He said, I've got a lot of responsibilities now, real life responsibilities. You can just sit in your ranch in the middle of nowhere hunting rabbits with Elmer Fudd, which was a funny line. I've got a lot of responsibilities. This, and he actually used the line, "One day this will be mine." One day this will be mine. Obviously, it's true, but so one of the first times that he's actually said it on Monday Night Raw on live TV, which is unbelievable. And eventually, Shawn said, called him a coward, and then he ended up saying, "Look into my eyes, come right in front of me and look in my eyes and tell me you don't want to be the man to end the Undertaker streak." Triple H went right up to Shawn Michaels and said no. At that point, Shawn Michaels left. Now this is where it got a little bit interesting. Shawn Michaels left, climbed out the ring. Triple H was about to actually leave the ring. He literally had his legs and putting his body halfway through the bottom and middle, the top and middle rope, when the Undertaker's gong went off, and it was actually a video, pictures and small sections of video playing in a little weird small room with attachments on the wall with burning candles, and the Undertaker with his back facing the camera. It was pictures and video of the aftermath of the WrestleMania 27 match between Undertaker and Triple H, and the Undertaker, the Triple H voice saying, "No, I felt bad for the Undertaker," and a couple of other lines. Also, and pretty much and the Taker saying, "This is not over." Then he took out an old style razor blade, like you may have seen in the movie Sweeney Todd with Johnny Depp. A really old style razor blade with a long handle and a rectangle, really sharp blade, and started hacking at his hair. We all know he's actually supposedly shaved his hair, his head off, all his hair off, so his head is supposedly bald. Whether this is to explain it as apparently last week, and it did look a little bit like he was wearing a wig last week, or the other week when he challenged Triple H. So certainly what he's going to look like, I don't know, because it just showed the locks of hair on the floor at the end, and the Undertaker saying, "This is not over." Then it went to another ad break. Live Raw, you get lots of ad breaks. But so it looks like they're still pushing Triple H versus Undertaker for WrestleMania. I think this is because Triple H wants a big match, because we've got Cena versus The Rock, which is a huge match. Huge match. To be honest, not just promotion wise for a year, but it's two big names. I think Triple H just wants to be a part of a bit major match in case he gets a bit overshadowed. But anyway, certainly looks like we'll get Triple H versus Taker. Possibly Shawn Michaels will be the referee, but that's an indication you kind of got during the segment. It's a good segment. It's weird how much they actually. Shawn Michaels. It was obviously reading a bit of a script at the start of that. I think certainly saying the words that somebody told him. To be honest, I could tell that. Almost not as bad as Eve, but anyway, that's definitely getting Triple H versus Undertaker at WrestleMania. So that's a certainty, I would say. Putting money on if I were a betting man, but I don't think anybody would take it nowadays. To be honest, they don't do much for wrestling, but I think it's too obvious anyway. There was also at that part now pointing to Dolph Ziggler versus R-Truth. This was an interesting finish to the match. R-Truth was on the ground, facing up, facing the lights. It was at this point that for some reason Dolph Ziggler chose to do sit-ups, and then R-Truth reached over, rolled over, and got Dolph Ziggler in a small package and pinned him with a 1-2-3. So interesting finish. It was a decent match. R-Truth, thankfully, I believe Wwe Raw was actually live. I know they've been in Abu Dhabi. I believe it may have been live. It said live in Sky Sports today, so possibly, hopefully, it would be live. But R-Truth, thankfully, after his bump on the ground last week, the other week, when the Miz was supposed to try and catch him, who got chewed out by Triple H apparently backstage after missing it. I don't think, to be honest, after watching it was entirely Miz's fault. Just a bit of bad timing on both their parts, to be honest. But thankfully, R-Truth seemed okay in this match. Took a few bumps during the night, during that match, so thankfully he seems okay. So it was an okay match. Again, R-Truth small package for the win against Dolph Ziggler when Dolph Ziggler was doing the setups, which is, like I said, interesting finish to that one. Next was a very short match, Beth Phoenix versus Tamina, announced for the Elimination Chamber event on Sunday for the Divas Championship. Obviously, I think they're pushing Tamina to win the title eventually. Possibly not the Sunday, because they were obviously building her up on about her father, Superfly Jimmy Snuka, who's currently recovering from ankle surgery. So my thoughts and praise to him. But apparently he's doing well, but he's still out of action for several months, as we previously mentioned. And this tonight it was Tamina versus Brie Bella. It was a very short match, too short really to judge it. It was only a couple of minutes. Nikki Bella tried to get in on the action, got on the apron, stood on the apron. Tamina knocked her down and then eventually won the match with her father's Superfly splash from the top turnbuckle 1-2-3. At that point was an interesting development in the storyline. John Cena was waiting backstage. They did a Rock Rock promo vignette video thing about him and his new film Journey 2, and it looks like it might be a decent film. It's very CGI kids thing about an airplane crash and ending up in this weird island, and a lot of the video is actually, weirdly enough, him doing the peck pop where his pecs were bum. It's like an old comedy. I can't remember who did it. Maybe it was Benny Hill. I think it was Benny Hill actually, or somebody used to do that in British comedy. It wasn't Les Dawson. Somebody used to do that kind of thing with their pecs, their chest things. But some of the video was about The Rock doing through the press button, moving his pecs individually. So one goes up, one goes one goes up and one goes down, one stays up, and one goes that kind of weird how you can do that. I don't know, but it's a weird subject for some of the video. But at that point, it was supposed to be going back to John Cena for reactions to what he thinks of the upcoming match at WrestleMania with The Rock. It went back to Cena after the video, to Cena and Josh Matthews. Suddenly we heard Eve Torres screaming. Kane had abducted her, stuck her in the ambulance. Obviously not really, because during the video she'd jumped into the ambulance and just set it up. But she, on cue, she started screaming, or whether they were playing, screaming, whatever. Eve Torres, we'll take it as Eve Torres was suddenly screamed before Josh Matthews could ask Cena anything. John Cena rushed off. There was a bit of a to-do about John Cena trying to rescue her. Kane attacked Cena, then once he'd gotten down, tried to go into the driver's side and try and drive away. Eve managed to get the door open at this point, just literally before, of course, it was driven away. Managed to get the door, leaped onto John Cena, who actually managed to stay standing, catching her. She had kind of her arms around his neck and her legs kind of wrapped around him. They actually at this point snobbed, kissed. At this point, of course, who would see them? Hearing the screams in his wheelchair, must have obviously heard the screams, realised it was Eve. Supposed boyfriend to Eve, it was Zack Ryder. He saw them kissing, because just saw them kissing, and Eve turned her head and looked about her, and then the camera panned to reveal Zack Ryder in the wheelchair, and she wasn't very happy, of course, at that. That's where that bit ended. Then CM Punk versus The Miz. Punk won with the Anaconda Vice, made The Miz tap out. It was an okay match, good match. To be honest, it's probably a pay-per-view match in the future. That's no trouble with. There still seem to be keeping a lot of the Raw stars against Raw stars, SmackDown stars against SmackDown stars, which kind of leads us to probably in the future, the same pay-per-view matches we've seen on television. But anyway, it was a decent match. Punk and Miz is, of course, talented wrestlers, but Punk won it with an Anaconda Vice, if I can say it. He's got the Anaconda Vice on my tongue right now. Anaconda Vice, no pun intended. Anaconda Vice, he won it, tapping out The Miz, and of course they made it very clear during a couple of the matches, the Big Show Randy Orton match, and the Punk Miz match, that you could win by pinfall or submission. So I think we might see a submission, at least by one of the people, to possibly set up the last part of that match on Sunday. They were really really playing up the submission aspect of the Elimination Chamber rules. At that point, this is the last segment now. John Cena came out to the ring, tried to apologise to what he'd just done for snugging, kissing Eve. At that point, Zack Ryder wheeled himself out to the stage. He had crutches. He got up, slowly walked down to the ring on the crutches. Got into the ring eventually. Eventually ended up actually slapping John Cena, obviously for kissing Eve. Cena grabbed him then by the shoulder, with his left arm on the shoulder, and went like that to punch Zack Ryder, but restrained himself from doing so. Zack Ryder actually pulled himself free from John Cena, ended up falling on his behind backwards. Then he rolled out the ring, got his crutches. Zack Ryder had been on when he was in the ring before Cena had actually grabbed him. He was like, "How could you do that to me?" Without microphones, but you could obviously hear them due to the way that WWE set up the mics. I was like, "How could you do that to me? Thought you were my friend," kind of thing. Like I said, Zack Ryder rolled out the ring, got his crutches slowly, very slowly, walked back to his wheelchair that he'd left on top of the stage, got into the wheelchair, and at that point, just shortly after, Kane came out onto the stage, grabbed Zack Ryder, and this is a really interesting stunt. Actually grabbed Zack Ryder's wheelchair, turned him around to face as you're coming out the left side of the stage, as you're looking at it, the right side of the stage from the ring. Then grabbed the wheelchair and pushed Zack Ryder, wheeled him and pushed him off the edge of the stage. You have to see it. It's kind of a little run up, and it wasn't even as if didn't even look a really what's the term? A really fake landing area. It looked actually a really solid landing area for Zack Ryder in that wheelchair. Now I know through Zack Ryder on Twitter and a couple of people that know him, he is genuinely hurt his back. So for Zack Ryder to take this bump is amazing. It really is weird. It didn't look like it. It was what they call a gimmicked thing, which is make it kind of make the floor soft, like they'll have padding, secret padding, so it looks real, but it's actually a very soft landing. It actually looked a very solid lot. I don't think it was any padding there at all. He was pushed off, still with that Ryder in the wheelchair still. Kane pushed him that in the wheelchair right off the side of the stage. I'm sure somebody is going to put it on YouTube very shortly. If they haven't done so by the time I upload this video. It really is amazing that WWE allows that Ryder to actually take this bump, considering he has actually hurt his back. I don't know whether it's healed yet or not, but it's really a stupid stunt to take. Unbelievable. And to end the show, Zack Ryder was stretchered out with Torres supposedly looking on in horror and really upset. I should mention actually, she said she caught up with him after the part when she kissed Zack Ryder, and said that I like you, but I think we should just be friends. Earlier on, I'm trying to miss out. But she said earlier on to Zack, I just want to be friends with you. But she came out, and of course John Cena was in the ring when Kane was still in the ring when Kane pushed Zack Ryder and in the wheelchair off the side of the stage. So both Eve Torres and John Cena were obviously standing there as the medics were putting Zack Ryder onto a stretcher, and that's how Raw ended. So a couple of good actual things to continue on the storylines. Obviously, Elimination Chamber is actually this Sunday. It's interesting, WWE don't seem to do the huge go home shows that they used to do, where it used to really build up for the pay-per-view. It ended with Zack Ryder getting stretched out, rather than I don't know, something with CM Punk about the WWE title, which is on the line in the Raw Elimination Chamber match. They don't seem to be doing the huge build-ups to the we've got to watch that pay-per-view to see what how the title match goes. It was an okay Raw. It's the first time in ages I've been able to watch it live. It was a decent live, a couple of bits of the storyline go on. Again, it does remind me of the Zack Ryder story, like Chris Canyon's storyline with Diamond Dallas Page. Canyon was supposed to be injured. The late great Chris Canyon was supposed to be injured, and he ended up returning and turning on Diamond Dallas Page. Will that happen? Will Zack Ryder attack John Cena? Kane has promised that John Cena will embrace the hate eventually. I don't know. But it was an okay Raw. To be honest, I'm not going to rate it because there was continuation, but again, it could have been a better go-home show for a major pay-per-view. We're not talking WrestleMania yet, another 5 or 6 weeks away. But we are talking a major pay-per-view that's supposed to actually set up WrestleMania. No word yet as to who Sheamus, the Royal Rumble winner, will face, whether it be the WWE or World Heavyweight Champion. I believe they hinted we didn't see Sheamus tonight at all. The only SmackDown guys were Big Show and Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan. But you got the hint he might decide on Sunday or after Sunday, of course, to see who's champions. But that's the look at Monday Night Raw. Any more info, I will, of course, any more news or wrestling news, I'll keep people updated. Final piece of information: it seems James Storm is going to be facing Robert Roode, the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, in a match at Lockdown 2012 for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Apparently that's been just released within the last couple of hours.